Hey guys, can you do me a quick favor? Before we get into this video, how about you go right down below and hit that dislike button? Just get it right out of the way while we're here. Because today we are going to be ranking every single rifler who has ever placed top 10 on the HLTV top 20 list. And, a couple of these placements are going to make you incredibly angry. I recently did this with every opera who's ever been in the top 20 list, and due to there being so many more riflers, I decided to cut it down to just the top 10 for this list. And even with me doing that, there's still going to be more riflers on this list than there were operas on the opera list. For starters, the way I'm going to be ranking all these riflers today is through a completely non-biased point of view, as I am deciding to plug all of these players into a formula. It's going to be the same one from the opera tier list, except slightly tweaked. In this formula, it takes into account your personal best ranking on the top 20 list, your total rating during your prime, the amount of tournaments you've won, the amount of majors you've won, the amount of MVPs you have. And in the last formula, I just did the total amount of times you've been in the top 20 list to try and help bump players who are extremely consistent. But in this one, I tweaked it so it's slightly more points if you've been placed in the top 10 and slightly less points if you've been placed from number 11 to number 20 to try and really help boost the score of the players who were consistently a top 10 player, who were consistently great. And by taking all of these things into account, I do believe it's one of the best ways to kind of rank these players with no personal bias. Because at the end of the day, while Blame F is a GOAT and I love him and he consistently posts 1.2, 1.3 ratings, do I think Blame F is a better player than Rops because he has a higher rating? You know, there is a lot more nuance to ranking players than just the individual numbers they put up, so I do think this mixes everything together well in this little soup that then in turn spits out a number that I will be calling the Rifler score. In the last video, we also had an eye test score and an aura score for all of the oppers, but in this video, I am gonna have no input on this list because there's so many different roles for riflers. And what, do you rank someone higher on the eye test because they can one tap better? So I don't know, I thought it would be better just for this to be a completely unbiased, pure formula-based list. Okay, I think that's enough yapping. Let's get these players out of the way. The first player on this list and the only player that I am placing in F tier is unfortunately Hiko. Hiko's rifler score was a 54.7. The next closest player to Hiko is over double his score. It's not even close. I think Hiko deserves his own tier. And listen, this isn't to say Hiko is a bad player by any means. You still have to be pretty damn good to place top 10 at any point. But when compared to all of the other riflers on this list, he just kind of doesn't really compare. He placed number 9 in 2013, and this was his only top 20 list in his entire career. During this year, he played for Quantic and Complexity, where he overall posted a 1.18 rating. Also this year, his team Complexity placed 3rd to 4th at the first major in the game's history, DreamHack Winter 2013. But something you'll notice about Hiko, if you go to his HLTV page, he has never won a single tournament. The only thing he has is this top 20 placement, and that's really it. Which is sad, man, because Hiko is a legend in the scene. He has a ton of different clips. I feel like everyone knows who Hiko is, but at least accolades-wise, he just really hasn't done anything. I'd say, honestly, his best year wasn't even the year when he placed top 20, but instead 2016 on Liquid, where with the help of Simple, he made the semifinals of MLG Major Columbus 2016, where they had maybe the worst back-to-back chokes in Counter-Strike history, and also got Coldzera jumping opt. But then he also made the finals of the next major, ESL 1 Cologne 2016, where they once again lost to the Luminosity team, but this time under the SK banner. And well, it was kind of just downhill after that. So Hiko, I love you. You're a legend, but you are the only rifler on this list in the F tier.
Hello guys, it's me, Garmour. The first time you've ever seen me in person before. If you guys would like to support me or the stuff that I do here, check out the new long-term sponsor of the Garmour YouTube channel, SkinSwap. SkinSwap is the #1 place to trade your Rust or Counter-Strike skins for new ones where you can instantly upgrade your inventory. And if you use my code Garmour, you can get up to $50 on a free skin and a 3% lifetime selling bonus. And now you can easily buy skins off of the Chinese marketplace for cheaper prices than you ever could on the Western marketplaces. I truly think this is the best feature on any skin trading website, but if you are looking to sell, you can sell your skins for crypto, PayPal, Venmo, and a bunch of other withdrawal methods, along Along with this, Skin Swap has a vault system now, which makes it the most rewarding skin trading website. And of course, don't forget the giveaways. And I think that's it. Thank you to them. Thank you to you guys. And back to the video.
To start us off in the D tier, which can stand for delectably decent. The first player we have in this tier is Yakinder. And honestly, if it wasn't for his time with Furia, he'd probably be down there with Hiko. But he had a great 2025, and that boosted him quite significantly. Yakinder's peak HLTV top 20 placement was in 2021 with Virtus Pro, and he placed number 8. He then followed that up in 2022, placing number 15. And once again placed number 15 with Furia in 2025. His total rating on these two teams is a 1.12. He's won 6 total tournaments and has a total rifling score of a 110.8. Yakinder is great, man, and I do really love the redemption arc that he's been going on with Furia after his kind of evil time in Liquid. But then again, whose time in Liquid isn't evil? And then while he did have a very good year with Furia, I love you, he is the third option in the team. He's not like the team's number 1 star player. And so I do think it makes sense why he was placed where he is. Very strong peak, has had a couple decent years since then, and now is an above average player in a very good team, but he is the third best player there. So I think Yakinder does belong in this tier. Next up is the one-tap goat Scream. Scream's peak placement in the HLTV top 20 came in 2013 when he placed number 7. He then skipped a couple years and placed number 9 in 2016. Has a total of a 1.11 rating over his prime, has won 6 tournaments, has 1 MVP award, and has a total rifler score of a 121.9. Now don't get it twisted, Scream was a very good rifler. I mean, you have to be a pretty fucking good rifler to place in the top 10 twice, but he also was kind of a clip farmer, and I think you would probably say his eye test is better than the actual player that he was. And like, this isn't trying to be a diss, but if you only watch Scream's highlights, you'd probably have him up in, I don't know, the B tier, maybe even the A tier, because let me tell you what, his one taps were incredibly crisp. They were incredibly clean.
They talk about my one taps.
And while he was being tossed around the French scene, he also wasn't on the French team that won the major the 2 times that happened. Despite probably being the best mechanical aimer in the entire world during his time playing, there was a lot more to the game than just that, and I do think his spot in D tier is fine. Next up is current AWPer for NIP, Stown. Stown has placed in the top 24 times, peaking at number 9 in 2023 with Heroic. Well, I guess technically Astralis as well. He also has a 1.13 rating over his time in Heroic and Astralis, having won 6 tournaments, and having a rifler score of a 122.2. Pretty much all of Stown's success came when he was on Heroic. They were the number 1 ranked team in the world for a while. They were to a major final. And I mean, during his time with that team, he really did look like one of the best riflers in the world. It's just unfortunate that he decided to ruin it all by stabbing his team in the back and joining Astralis. Next up, right above Stown, is the sex god, Doja. Unlike the past 3 riflers we've talked about, Doja has only been in the HLTV top 20 once, but it was a significantly higher peak than the other players, being at number 4 in the world. And I mean, if we are counting 1.6, which we are this video, by the way, he actually technically was on the HLTV top 20 list twice, being the number 19 player of 2011. And also, unlike the other 3 players we talked about, he is a one-time major winner, where we learned of the Doja nade, the beautiful, beautiful Doja nade. Along with this major win, he's won 5 other tournaments, has 2 MVPs, and a total rifler score of a 128. Doja, you're a goat. I wish I could place you higher, but your 0.99 rating does make it a little tough, but you're still a goat in my book. It's not a diss, I promise. The next rifler in this list pains me deeply. It's Blame F. Blame F has been in the HLTV top 24 times, with it being 4 years in a row. He peaked at number 6 in the world in 2020 on complexity, while also being their IGL. In 2020 is also when he won his only tournament on his HLTV page. He also has 1 MVP award and a total rifler score of a 140.5. And I'm gonna be honest here, fellas, this is mostly boosted because he easily has the highest HLTV rating so far with a 1.21. But despite his HLTV rating being so incredibly impressive, he realistically can't be any higher than D tier just because he doesn't have the accolades. He just doesn't have enough. This dude hasn't even sniffed a major playoffs, which is crazy, man. It's crazy that someone who's been in the HLTV top 20 list 4 times, being top 10 once, has literally never even played in a major playoffs. He's never even been close to a major playoffs. So, I mean, I can't have him any higher than D tier. It's literally not possible. This next placement is evil as fuck. And this is where I think the most people are going to get the most upset in this video. Right above Blame F is current rifler for FaZe, Frozen. Now, the good news for Frozen is he is still only 23. Realistically, when you look at him overall as a player from an unbiased point of view, he's made the HLTV top 24 times, peaking at number 8. His total rating during his prime is a 1.15. He's won 7 tournaments, won 0 majors, has 1 MVP award, and he has a total rifling score of a 148.2. And I get it, man. I get Frozen is in FaZe jail. I get if you're watching with your eyes, the eye test tells you he's a better rifler than a D tier rifler. But we do also gotta kind of rearrange our brain when you doing a tier list like this, because this isn't just like some bummy ass riflers we're ranking. These are quite literally the best riflers in Counter-Strike history on this list. And realistically, I kind of got to agree with the formula here. I don't think Frozen has done enough as a player to be ranked higher than this. And you want to know something? You want to know an evil comparison, but like if you're looking at them side by side, you could barely even tell the difference. Frozen and Stown basically have the same accolades. Frozen peaked at number 8 in the world. Stown is peaked at number 9 in the world. Stown's rating during his prime is a 1.13. Frozen's rating during his prime is a 1.15. Frozen has won 7 tournaments. Stown has won 6 tournaments. They both lost in a major final. Well, Frozen a couple at this point. Frozen has 1 total MVP award. Stown has 0. And Stown has placed in the top 10 twice, in the top 24 times. Frozen has placed in the top 10 twice, in the top 24 times. Obviously, I think Frozen is a better player than Stown. I mean, he's higher on the tier list, for God's sake. But, you know, when looking at it from this perspective, they're a little closer than you might think. At least individual and team accolade-wise. Right above Frozen is the first mainly 1.6 player we're going to talk about, and that is Madi. Madi has been a top 20 player twice, peaking at 9 in 2010. During his time in 1.6, he posted a 1.22 rating, won 8 tournaments, and has a rifler score of a 148.7. Unfortunately, the biggest issue for Madi was just team stability. He was on like 3 different teams when he placed top 20 in 2010, and I mean, it was the same thing when he placed top 20 in 2011, which honestly is incredibly impressive that he even managed to make the list despite his team instability. And well, unfortunately for him, when he finally did get team stability in 2012 with Fnatic, CSGO was already around the corner. And while he did play for quite a while in CSGO, he was never really the player that he was in 1.6. The final player who's going to close out the D tier is Breeze. Breeze placed on the HLTV top 20 list twice, peaking at number 8 in 2019. During his prime, he posted a 1.13 rating, won 7 tournaments, 3 MVPs, and has a rifler score of a 150.2. Now listen guys, while Breeze might not be the most popular North American rifler in history, you know, I honestly think he might be the most slept on. I feel like I never hear anyone talk about Breeze. Literally ever. And it's not like we got a ton of North American players just being in the top 20. But like he was pretty damn good during his time, man. That was kind of when NRG popped off and then they eventually went over to EG for a while. You know, I have this one highlight of Breeze that just replays in my mind. I think it's like a pistol 1v4 on Inferno. Ooh. You know, actually, now that I think about it, how the fuck did Breeze place higher than Frozen?
A few moments later.
Yeah. It's the two MVPs that pushed him over the edge by literally 2 points. Sorry, Frozen. Breeze mogs you. NA on top. Anyways, to start us off in the C tier, we have csgo. csgo was placed in the top 25 times, being in the top 10 twice, peaking at number 9 in the world. Over his prime, he has a 1.19 rating, 8 tournaments won, an MVP, and a rifler score of a 170.2. Honestly, man, I respect the fuck out of csgo for staying on Furia despite all of the downturns in form the team has had. He's been loyal to the team. He's been consistently a beast. And finally, it is paying off for him. Honestly, I wish I could place csgo higher, but we got a GOAT right above him. The greatest one-year wonder in Counter-Strike history, Mr. Justinas JL. I do truly wholeheartedly think the things that he did in 2024 is single-handedly enough to get him in the C tier of this list. He's been in the HLTV top 20 once, peaking at number 5 in the world. He has a 1.11 rating over his prime, 3 tournaments won, 1 major won, along with being the major MVP. He has 4 total MVPs and a rifler score of a 171.5. I truly think the year JL had in 2024 is something so so unbelievably magical. I don't know if I'll ever see anything like it again. He literally took over the entire scene this year, winning the first major of CS2, being an absolute beast, boosting his team Na'Vi, who weren't even in the conversation to win. Ooh. I lied about the MVP thing. He only has 2 MVPs, but he did win Closer of the Year in 2024. And in the formula, I accounted winning a yearly award to like 2 MVPs. So that's why I messed that up. Anyways, yeah, JLC tier.
Okay.
Also, guys, I do gotta say, don't think about the order of the tiers that much, okay? I know I've been saying it kind of matters. The order of the tiers does matter a little bit, but mostly all the players in the tier are pretty close together, and you could, you know, flip-flop them if you want to. That's not really that matters, okay? It just matters who's placed into what tier. Next on this list, right above JL, is Spinks. Spinks has placed in the HLTV top 24 times, peaking at number 5 in the world in 2023 with Vitality. He also has a 1.14 rating during his prime, has won 7 tournaments, a major, and has a rifler score of a 174. I feel like Spinks is pretty self-explanatory. He's just been a really good rifler for 4 years at this point. You know, he is a major winner. He went over to Mouse and is still an incredibly good rifler. I do think C tier is like the perfect spot for him. This next placement is gonna blow your goddamn socks off. The next player in C tier is current coach of Team Falcons, Mr. Zonic. Now, being pretty much only a 1.6 player, he did only place on the top 20 list once in 2010, but he did place number 8 in the world, and he was an incredibly good player for MTW for years before this. Anyways, during his time playing, he had a 1.12 rating. He won 14 tournaments, 1 major, had 1 MVP, and is a total rifling score of a 182.8. Now, you may notice a lot of 1.6 players are a little boosted, and well, that's because I decided to count S tier and A tier tournament ones, and hear me out. Listen. This list is incredibly unfair for newer players because, for one, there wasn't really MVP awards until the very, very later part of 1.6. There were no HLTV awards, and today there are significantly more S tier events than there were in 1.6, anywhere from like 6 to 10 extra S tier events a year now. And even really good tier 1 teams back in the day were playing a ton of local lands as well, you know, C tier, B tier, A tier tournaments, and a lot of these A tier tournaments still had the very best top teams in the world. While maybe not all of them, they still did have very good teams. So to make it fair for a lot of the older 1.6 players, I included A tier tournament wins as well. Sue me. The next rifler right above Zonic is another 1.6 player in Trace. Trace individually has some of the best accolades in all of 1.6. Individually, Trace was a fucking freak. He placed in both 1.6 HLTV top 20 lists, being the number 3 player in 2010 and the number 4 player of 2011, while also posting a 1.21 rating. He also won 8 tournaments, but unfortunately won 0 majors, had 1 MVP, and has a 195.5 rifling score. Trace is basically the Nico of 1.6, honestly. I can't help but look at Trace and draw similarities to our boy Nico. Except when I think about it, it's a pretty horrible comparison because he broke out at the end of 2009. And so realistically, he was good 2010, 2011. He was good for 3 years. He's actually more similar to Axile than Nico. Trace was the Axile of 1.6. Next on this list is teammate of Axile, Hobbit. I love Hobbit. Hobbit's a goat. Hobbit is placed in the top 20 twice, peaking at number 6 in 2021 with Gambit. During his prime, he had a 1.12 rating, won 10 tournaments, won a major, won 3 MVPs, and has a rifling score of a 198. Hobbit, all I have to say is God bless you. The last player in C tier is current rifler for Team Liquid, 28-year-old Naf. Guys, Naf is a goat. He's placed in the HLTV top 23 times, twice in the top 10, peaking at number 6. During his prime, he has a 1.07 rating, has won 13 tournaments, 5 MVPs, and has a total of a 199.5 rifler score. Is 2019 Prime Liquid doing a lot of heavy lifting here? Only a little. Naf has been a goat for a decade at this point, guys. He's also one of the very few players in Counter-Strike history who's been a winner of an ESL Grand Slam Season 2, which I did count as a trophy win. I think that's fair. Yeah, overall, Naf is a GOAT. Naf is my GOAT. I wish I could have put him up in B tier, but you know, I can only do so much. The first player of the B tier is Naf's teammate, and that is Elige. Elige is in contention for being the best rifler in North American history, in part due to him being on the HLTV top 20 list 6 times, with 2 of them being in in the top 10, him peaking at number 4, having a total of a 1.08 rating during his first stint on Liquid, which I would consider his prime. He's won 11 total tournaments, has 4 MVPs, and is a total of a 208.5 rifling score. The first player on the list who has gone over 200. Now, the next player we're going to talk about in the B tier, and listen, I need you to hear me out first, okay? I am telling you right now, the orders of the list, I said it before, I need to drill this into your brain before I say this. The order of the players on this list don't really matter. It just matters what tier they are in, okay? So the next player we're going to talk about after Elige, doesn't mean I think he's better than Elige, is Axile. And while he didn't win a major like his former teammate Hobbit did, I do believe during Axile's prime, he was just a better rifler. During his span of being on Gambit and Cloud9, Axile posted a 1.17 rating, won 8 tournaments, most of which were with Gambit, was an MVP 3 times, and won Closer of the Year in 2022. Because of all of this, he has a 217 rifling score, which does place him pretty fairly into the B tier here, at least in my opinion. Because listen, while Axile is a shadow of his former self, we do gotta all collectively remember how unfucking believable this guy was during his prime. Next in the B tier is the second-hand man to coldzera, and that is Fur. Fur placed on the top 20 list twice, peaking in 2017 at number 3. During his prime, he had a 1.08 rating, won 11 tournaments, 2 majors, an MVP, and has a rifling score of a 220. I do feel like during Fur's prime, there was just like a fear factor there. Like, I remember being a hardcore Cloud9 fan, right? And like, sure, those teams were insane. coldzera was insane. Fallen was insane. Even Taco had his moments. But like, I don't know what it was. Anytime I saw Fur peaking a motherfucker on a team I was rooting for, I thought my team was just done for. I don't know what it was. I hated playing Fur when I was a fan of the other team. I don't know why he has such a fear factor about him. But yeah, I mean, he was just genuinely such a mechanical freak during his prime. I think he really does deserve to be up here in B tier. The next player I'm going to be talking about in this tier is the first player who we're really going to see get a big IGL buff. And so while maybe he's not as mechanically good as a lot of the other riflers in this tier, I do think that he does deserve to be here just for ever placing in the top 10 and being a caller at the same time. That is incredibly impressive. And well, that is Happy. Happy is placed in the top 10 twice, first in 2014 and second in 2015, peaking at number 8 in the world. Being in the top 10 twice as a caller is
brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular.
While also being a 2-time major winner. I mean, Happy was a freak. Like I said, along with those 2 major wins, he won 11 other tournaments, won 4 MVPs, had a rating of a 1.07, and has a rifling score of a 226.3. Without a doubt, Happy is one of the best French players in Counter-Strike history. And of course, I mean, how can you forget the Happy Deagle clip?
Happy! He could get another one here too, Dupree! Dupree is like sweating bullets! Happy's gonna get the quad kill in the ace! What is this?
The next player in this tier is a 1.6 player named Gux. Gux placed number 12 on the HLTV 2010 list and number 10 in the HLTV 2011 list. And along with this was a key piece of the Swedish scene during 1.6 on teams like Fnatic and SK. On these teams, he posted a 1.16 rating, won 14 tournaments, 2 majors, an MVP, and has a rifler score of a 228. Gux is a 1.6 legend and absolutely deserves to be here. Now I'm going to kind of fire off the last 5 players of this tier because, well, they're all still playing today, and I do think they're all incredibly special in their own way. First is Flames, especially in due part because of the Vitality era, and just because he's also been an incredibly good rifler over the past couple of years. I mean, fuck it, bro. I should just have a B+ tier because I feel like these 5 players are in a different tier than the rest of players in B. So you fuck it, the B+ tier. Flames, been in the HLTV top 20 twice, both times were in the top 10. He peaked at number 7. He has a 1.14 rating, 17 tournaments won, 2 majors won, and a rifling score of a 235.4. Next in the B+ tier is Rain. Rain is just an absolute legend. He peaked at number 4 in 2017 and also made the HLTV top 22 other times. And while his overall rating of a 1.01 might not blow your socks off, Rain has always had the mechanical ability to be the best player on his team, it feels like. But Rain's a chill guy, so he'll do whatever you need him to do. He's not gonna cry about it. He was the rock on FaZe for years, and he just played the positions they needed him to play. In Reign's career, he's also won 20 tournaments, a major where he was the MVP. Including that, he has 4 total MVPs and a rifling score of a 239. After him is Twist, his teammate when they won that major together. Twist is probably the best North American player in Counter-Strike history. You know, he's been on the HLTV top 20 list 6 times, but surprisingly actually barely even squeaked into the top 10, with his peak being number 9 in 2019. If it wasn't for that 2019 year, I wouldn't even be able to talk about him on this list, because every other single placement he had was from 11 to 20. But during his prime, he's posted a 1.13 rating, won 19 tournaments besides that major, has 2 MVPs, and a rifling score of a 246.2. We also have Bit, who was the first ever player to have won a major in CSGO and CS2. Bit has been a rock for Na'Vi for years now, and I feel like at this point is the face of their team. If Na'Vi gets rid of Bit, it's not going to feel like Na'Vi anymore. He's placed in the HLTV top 20 list 4 times, peaking at number 9 twice in 2021 and 2024. He has a 1.12 rating, 13 tournaments won, 2 majors won, 1 MVP, and was the anchor of the year in 2024. Rifling score of a 249.7. And the player with the highest rifling score in the B+ tier is the current right-hand man to Simple and right-hand man to Simple pretty much throughout his career, and that is Electronic. Electronic is a pretty demonic player because he's been in the top 24 times, but every single one of those times he was in the top 10. His peak placement in the top 20 is number 4. He has a 1.15 rating over his time in Na'Vi. He had an incredibly good prime, and then, you know, just kind of 16 tournaments won, a major won, an MVP, and has a total rifling score of 252. Next up, we have the biggest tier in this entire list, and that is A tier. Now, due to this list being the way that it is, unless you are truly an
absolute freak,
normally older players are gonna have an advantage because you're just gonna be able to put up more numbers, have more accolades after you've played the game for longer. So yeah, the A tier is pretty much just legends of the game. The first 2 players we'll talk about are 2 more players who got the IGL buff, and that is Glaive and Exist. Glaive was just simply the IGL of Astralis during the dominant Astralis era. He was the number 8 player in the world in 2018, which was his only ever appearance in the top 20. But, you know, along with this, he's posted a total of a 1.02 rating. When you compare that to IGLs of today, I feel like we're so used to seeing IGLs posting 0.8s, 0.9 ratings at this point. A 1.02 for an IGL really isn't that bad. And it gets even better when you consider they won 20 tournaments, 4 majors. Glaive won an MVP and has a rifling score of a 267.8. Exist, on the other hand, actually has 3 total appearances in the top 20. And he's kind of weird because he gets like half boosted from IGL and also half isn't. I don't think he was an IGL in 1.6. At least I'm fairly certain he was just a star rifler in 1.6, and then he later became an IGL on NIP. But in 2010 he placed number 18 on that list. He then placed number 13 on the 2011 list, and then of course due in part to how dominant NIP was during the early era of CSGO, he placed number 6 in the world in 2013. Exist also had a 1.04 rating, which I tried to combine from his time in CSGO and his time in 1.6. I did the best I could. He also won 20 tournaments, 2 majors, 1 in 1.6 and 1 in CSGO, had 4 MVPs, and had a rifler score of a 267, so pretty much neck and neck with Glaive. The next 2 spots are the 2 Frenchmen who won a major together in 2014, and that is Shox and NBK. Shox is mechanically one of the best riflers to have ever come out of France, as he peaked at number 3 in the world in 2013, then was number 8 in the world in 2014, number 13 in the world in 2015, and number 6 in the world in 2016. He also has a 1.07 rating, won 17 tournaments, a major, had 4 MVPs, and has a total of a 272.5 rifler score. NBK, on the other hand, peaked at number 5 in 2013, followed that up by number 17 in 2014, and then number 9 in 2015. NBK's rating was a little lower with a 1.04, but he did go on to have more team success, winning 20 tournaments, 2 majors instead of 1. He also had 4 MVPs and a rifling score of a 277. Next, we have someone who is still playing but is an IGL now, because that's what happens as soon as you reach a certain age, and that is Snacks. The current Gamer Legion IGL peaked at number 4 in the world in 2014, followed that up with another number 4 placement in 2015, a number 5 placement in 2016, and a number 20 placement in 2017. During his prime, his rating is a 1.06. Of course, being with Prime version hammered his plow. He won 14 tournaments, a major, had 7 MVP awards, and a rifler score of a 277.5. Next up is someone who really might surprise you. You probably didn't expect to see them in this tier list at all, and that is Starix. Starix was quite simply one of the best Ukrainian riflers in 1.6 history, and literally hand-crafted, hand-built the Na'Vi team that went on to win 4 majors. In 2010, he peaked as the number 4 player in the world, followed it up by being the number 20 player in 2011, had a 1.14 and 1.6, won 9 total tournaments, won 4 majors, had 2 MVPs, and has a rifling score of a 290.5. Starix is a legend of Counter-Strike, and if you don't know his name, you know it now. The last 5 players of this tier: Crims, Edward, Flusha, Taz, and Magisk. Crims, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. He's been in the HLTV top 20 list 5 times, with 3 of them being in the top 10. He peaked at number 7 in 2015, has a total of a 1.06 rating, won 19 tournaments, won 2 majors, has 5 MVPs, and a rifling score of a 297.4. He was one of the key pieces of Fnatic during their prime. He has done more than enough throughout his career to warrant him being in this tier, and he's one of the very few players in this tier to still be playing the game today, even if it is on tier 86 Fnatic. Next is Edward, and if we were just counting CSGO, Edward would not be on this list. But similar to Starix, Edward was on that Na'Vi team during 1.6, and he was just quite simply one of the best riflers in the world. He peaked at number 5 in the world in 2010, and followed that up in 2011 with a placement at number 15. Also, his rating in 1.6 was insane, but I had to combine it with his rating during his time on Na'Vi and CSGO, just because he also won a ton of tournaments with Simple in CSGO, and I can't just not include that, I feel like. So his rating with the games combined is a 1.11. He's won 24 total tournaments throughout both games, won 4 majors, 2 MVPs, and has a rifling score of a 352.5. The first player on the list to break the 300 mark. Then right next to him is Flusha. Flusha has placed on the HLTV top 20 list 4 times, and him peaking at number 2 in the world in 2014, surely just because he was walling the entire time. He has a 1.05 rating, won 19 tournaments, 3 majors, 4 MVPs, and has a score of a 360.5. After that is current coach of BC Game, Taz. And while Taz was still a good player in CSGO, this is almost entirely from the work he put in 1.6. Poland was kind of freakish in 1.6. They were dominant as fuck. Taz peaked as the number 6 player in the world in 2011, which is actually his only ever placement on the HLTV top 20 list. In the 2 games combined, he has a 1.05 rating. He has won a total of 22 tournaments and 7 majors, along with 1 MVP, giving him a rifler score of a 384.5. Taz and Neo were pretty much brothers through all of 1.6, and the things they did together in that game were truly insane. But we'll get to the second half of that a bit later on. And anyways, the last player in this tier is going to be Magisk. Truly one of the legends of the game. He was on Prime Astralis, where he peaked at number 5 in the world, put up a 1.11 rating during his time on Astralis, Vitality, and Falcons, won a total of 23 tournaments, 4 majors, has 4 MVPs, placed in the top 25 times, and has a rifler score of a 386.5. Anyways, fellas, I think it's time that we get to the S tier. To make it to the S tier of this list, you need to be one of 2 things. Number 1, you had to be the number 1 ranked player of an entire year, or be so incredibly great over a long period of time that you just simply can't be placed anywhere else. That leaves us with 8 players: Dupree, Olafmeister, Coldzera, Nico, Rops, Neo, Forrest, and Donk. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and try and compare all of these players because I feel like it doesn't make sense. All of these players truly are the pinnacle of what rifling can be. They all absolutely deserve to be in the S tier. Dupree, consistently a beast on Prime Astralis, was the best player on Astralis not named Device, went over to Vitality, won a major there. He was just consistently great for so many years. He was on the HLTV top 20 list 7 times. Olafmeister, one of the few riflers to have been number 1 in the world, a feat he achieved in 2015. Along with this, winning 2 majors, a fuck ton of other tournaments tournaments with Fnatic and FaZe. coldzera being back-to-back #1 in the world as a rifler. I know some people argue,
Oh, he's an opper.
guys, coldzera was not an opper. coldzera sometimes would secondary op when they had the money. If you're not the main opper on a team, you're not an opper. coldzera was a rifler. Hiko, while never being #1, by many is considered to be the best rifler in Counter-Strike history. He has the most HLTV top 20 appearances. He's been damn close to #1, peaking at #2. He has highlights for days. You could watch Hiko highlights for a millennium. And 7 of his appearances in the top 20 have been in the top 5. Yes, you heard that right. Hiko has 10 placements in the HLTV top 20 list, and 7 of those are in the top 5. That is an unfucking believable level of consistency that we normally only see with oppers. Rops. Do I really need to explain Rops? Look at Rops' HLTV teams page for a second and look at the fucking trophies. He's been on 3 teams. Look at the trophies on those teams. One of the reasons why Rops is so great is that he doesn't really take up the resources of a star rifler. His whole thing is being left alone and just letting him work. And I think having a player in your team that maybe isn't like a traditional star rifler who can do the things that Rops can do is such an unbelievably valuable thing to have. It's no mystery as to why every single team he's on wins. And he also has one of the most HLTV top 20 appearances for a rifler at 8. And well, if Prime Vitality keep winning the way that they're winning, you know, Rops can keep going up this list. He's already won 31 goddamn tournaments, probably more by the time this video goes out. 3 majors, looking like it might be 4. Who's gonna stop them? Neo. Neo by many is considered to be the 1.6 GOAT. And you might be asking yourself, why is Neo considered the 1.6 GOAT? He was the #7 player in 2010, the #1 player in 2011, and like I was saying with Taz, he dominated at majors. In 1.6 and in CSGO, he has a 1.10 rating, but if we're only talking 1.6, he has a 1.24 rating. His CSGO rating dropped him significantly. He's also won 22 tournaments. I mean, he's got the same exact stats as Taz because they were literally just on the same teams for their entire career. Unlike Taz, Neo was like the main star of the teams when they won. So he had 7 MVPs instead of Taz's 1. He was the alpha Chad of the duo of the two. Taz was an incredible rifler in his own right. I'm not discrediting him. Neo was on teams that won 7 majors. And for every single one in 1.6, I would say he was the main driving force. Then another 1.6 GOAT in Forest. Forest was also diabolically consistent. At some point, we just thought this dude was never going to retire. He was just continuing to put up numbers forever. Towards the end of NIP in his early 30s, still putting up good numbers. He won 4 majors in the 2 games combined, 47 goddamn tournaments, 8 MVPs. Forrest was an absolute animal. And then, of course, Donk. Donk being all the way up in this S tier might blow your socks off because he's only been playing the game for a couple of years, but the things he has done, oh my days. You look at everyone else in this tier, and I know it's still early on in Donk's career. Forrest, 1.16 rating in the 2 games combined. Neo, 110. Rops, 115. Nico, 120. You look at Nico's 120 and you go, wow. And you should go, wow, a 120 over a span of 10 years is fucking diabolical. But Donk's rating is a 1.39. He was #1 in the world in 2014, the #2 player in the world in 2025, and most people feel like he was snubbed. They thought he should have been #1 in 2025 because he just had better numbers than ZywOo. But like we have talked about in this list, individual accolades by themselves don't mean everything. He's also already won a major, has 10 MVPs, 6 HLTV awards. Like I said earlier, I combined the HLTV awards and the MVPs together, so some of the numbers might be a little goofy. You know, Donk is an absolute freak, one of the best young rifling talents I have ever seen in my entire life. But according to this, he isn't the best rifler in Counter-Strike's history. According to this, the #1 rifler in Counter-Strike's history is GetRight. Put some motherfucking respect on GetRight's name, fellas. In 2010, GetRight was the #2 player in the world. In 2011, GetRight was also the #2 player in the world. Then, as soon as CSGO started, he was the back-to-back #1 player in 2013 and 2014, followed up by the #11 player in 2015 and the #18 player in 2016. It is only GetRight and coldzera who have been back-to-back #1s in rifling Counter-Strike history, and well, GetRight just simply did more than him. Throughout his time time in 1.6 and CSGO, he has a 1.18 rating. And while after joining Fnatic in 2009, GetRight and Forest just couldn't be stopped. Very similar to Taz and Neo in the fact that GetRight and Forest were just like always together. In 1.6 and in CSGO, GetRight won 37 tournaments. He does have one less major than Forest, having only won 3. But here's the thing with GetRight. The gap between GetRight and every other single rifler could be so much bigger. The number one issue with GetRight is that he's got to have the most major finals losses in Counter-Strike history without a doubt. He has the most major finals lost in CSGO with 4, as his team NIP made the finals of the first 5 majors in a row and were only able to squeak out 1. Imagine if just half of those went the other way and he's got 3 majors in CSGO. How much bigger that gap would be, but it doesn't even end there. He also lost in the finals of 3 majors in 1.6, although his record was a lot better because he also won 2. So he went 2-3 in 1.6 and 1-4 in CSGO, putting his total major final record at 3-7. The gap could be so much wider if just a couple more of those went the other way. GetRight also had 10 total MVPs and easily the highest rifling score of this entire list with a 658. GetRight is truly one of a kind, and I do really think it's fair to have him in the #1 spot here. There is one part of this that's a little frightening for him, because while at the time of me recording this, GetRight is in the S+ tier, the best rifler in Counter-Strike history, that little Russian fetus is close on his heels, incredibly close. GetRight still has all of the achievements over him, but we also got to remember Donk has been playing for like 2 years at this point and is right behind him. Unfortunately, Donk couldn't get the back-to-back #1s like GetRight, at least not yet. Maybe one time in his career he will join the list of GetRight and coldzera as riflers who have done this. And I really do think Donk is the only rifler capable of surpassing him, at least right now. Maybe this will change in the future, but right now, without a doubt, Donk is the best rifler in the world. If Rops rattles off, 4 more majors and has a total of 7 majors tied with Neo, maybe even gets to 8 majors and has the most in Counter-Strike history for a rifler, then I mean, shit, man. I guess then it could be Rops. It's really between Donk and Rops at this point. I don't know. Who am I to say? Anyways, that's it for me, fellas. This is probably going to be a very long video. I am so sorry. Editor, I'm so sorry. If you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe link, notifications, and that's it for me, fellas. I will see you guys next time.